Alrighty, so as a new player, the first thing you want to do is you want to figure out what's going to be your main character. You're going to figure out what character you want to have as the main character that you want to use your other characters to build around. Let me go ahead. I'm going to hide myself to show you guys what I'm talking about. So you have this list over here. You get 4 of these free slots. 4 of these free slots. So you want to use these as wisely as possible. Now, I highly suggest maybe play with every character before you get your main. But if you figure out what your main is because you like the style of that person, you want to stick to that person because this game will undoubtedly it will hurt you in the long run if you try to keep building up other characters. So again, you have to figure out what character do you want to build and how you want to play, right? So for an example, if you're more of a PvE character, highly suggest someone maybe like Storm, Iron Man, Magic. These are some really good choices. You have the PvP side, people like Spider-Man, Black Widows. Star-Lord's pretty good for that as well. Actually, Star-Lord is a very great player, but there's guys out there to help you all along the way, especially to figure out which character is the best free-to-play friendly, because that's what I highly recommend you guys to come in here with the free-to-play mindset. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pop open this game, and I'm also going to go to some other things that I want you guys to be wary about, okay? So, as a new player, we finally have a system in here called the Pegasus base. Now, I know people have came in here, and I've even seen questions about this, like they wonder how can they use it. Well, something that you guys have to understand is when it comes to the Pegasus base, you have to actually finish the story mode, like with your main character. I could not, if I was on my free-to-play account, I could not use I couldn't use this Pegasus base for the dark domain because I have not finished it at all on my main alt. So the reason that a lot of you guys can't use the Pegasus base is because you haven't finished the story mode. So make sure you finish that story mode, however long it takes you. You can take your time. It's not going to be bad. But before you can use this Pegasus base, you undoubtedly need to finish the story mode. Another thing that I always tell you guys is we also have another feature in here called the training grounds. Now, I'm going to go ahead and suggest this to you guys. Do not touch training grounds until you get to level 100. Because honestly, you could just do the whole story mode bit by bit, leveling up to 100 without wasting any of your tickets here or your time here. I 100% would recommend you guys to wait till level 100, then come here, use your tickets, use your time. These down here doesn't really give you as much as you think it would. Unfortunately, that's just how the game goes. The drop rates are very terrible there. So again, be wary of that. Make sure you want to use them at the 100, right? So another suggestion I do have for newer players is I highly recommend you guys to maybe build for PvE first. Use it as a stepping stone, right? So you want to try to get your way through here. You want to try to get your way to all 35 because of the selectors that you get here and the premium cards. So maybe try to build your way up to, first step is, building your way up to this level 35. I highly recommend that. And also maybe try to get some rankings in here for these core boxes. Now, I understand that the core boxes can be very hit or miss, but again, I have gotten plenty of 5 stars from here, and 5-star cores are definitely going to be like the minimum if you're going to want to play PvP. So a lot of these systems are PvE is basically going to get you prepped for PvP. Now you can try to go in and directly build for PvP, but if you can't get through the PvE content, you're kind of going to be just set off to the wayside, especially if you can't, rank and things like this. Another one for newer players is there's a game mode in here called Special Operations. This game mode is a free-to-play new players, competition right here, honestly, because there's no gear involved. So you're basically at level 1, whatever gear everybody is, no matter if you're a vet, pay-to-play player, a whale, free-to-play, new player. This right here is the game mode that I 100% recommend. If you are a new player, try your best to rank in this regardless, because it comes down to these things right here we like to call uniform boxes, and these uniform boxes are to the 4 stars. You can't beat it. You really don't even get that much anywhere else. This is a ungodly amount of fodder. Back when I used to do this, I used to love try to rank in number 1, number 2 spot. This is the spot that I usually just stayed in most of the time. I was definitely most of the time in 1 or 2 spot for like the first month and a half, and that fodder I got from it was at least decent to a certain extent. And you can also get these things called regional pieces. Now, let's move on. I want to talk to you guys about the raids because this right here is going to be very vital to the way that you play this game. Now, you have specializations. These specializations are the backbone to every character. And you get most of that material here in this area we like to call the raid. Now, each time you do have a today's raid boss, however, if you understand how your specs work and you know which path you want to take, then I would highly recommend you keep fighting that raid boss. Because even the today's raid boss really doesn't do that much. To keep it 100% honest with you guys. Let's go over here. See, it's just an extra 1 or 2. This one is just like an extra 2 to 3. I think the biggest drop off you're probably going to see is this one. Because this one is 11 to 15, and that 15 definitely could be it. But again, that's something that you could sacrifice if you just want to keep aiming for the exact spec that you want. And speaking of specializations, let's go over here to specializations. Now, you have to understand there are 2 types of specs in this, right? You have the universal specs. These are the ones that are basically for all characters. You run this up, you get a little couple percentages to your character. It comes in very handy when you're coming for things like PvP decrease. That's over here. 100%. Also the accuracy rate. Defensive pierce can be good too for that 1.9. And then you also have the other spec. And this right here is the character unique spec. These are the specs that are specifically for your character. As you can see, this one is increase in supervillain damage for the Hex skill that I'm using. Hex is a type of skill that only Scarlet Witch has. Nobody else has Hex yet. Now, not that maybe bring somebody in like the Hood or something like that. Then, of course, we're going to have other Hex users. But I think their other Hex is going to be specifically for that character. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. But as far as the Hex goes now, this is only for Miss Wanda Maximoff. Just not going to sit on Spider-Man. You're not going to sit on Iron Man or Storm. And the same goes for the rest of the characters. You have Storm with her chain lightning. You have Star-Lord with his flames. You have Iron Man with his weapon cartridges, and so on and so on. Now, you also have to understand, we have these things that we like to call Omega cards. These right here can be a battle in itself. Now, a lot of these Omega cards that you see here, especially the ones that you see glowing, that you see the white shiny coming around onto, those are not really going to be available. That's really only available by RNG, your wallet, or the 35 battle challenges or some login events whenever they come by. So the ones that are shining are very, very hard to come by. However, you have the rare cards, and these rare cards can be easily farmed. A lot of these are, just look at who is on the cover. If you can match the faces that's on the cover, then you probably have an idea who you need to fight, right? For an example, you can look at this card and you just look at it and you can see that's Hela. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go ahead and go fight Hela. Basically, that's the same thing with this. You see a bear, who am I going to go fight? I'm going to go fight Demon Bear. Now, there are some cards in here. For an example, this Bat Sucker right here and all of these cards below, you can't really grind these in a certain... I'm not going to say that you can't grind them, because you can, but they're not grindable by attacking a certain boss. We have a game mode we like to call Dark Zone. You have to rank in that Dark Zone. Again, that's PvE content, which is why I say, hey, build PvE for PvP. Well, I mean, it's kind of a mixture of PvE and PvP, but most of your rankings is going to come from the PvE damage that you cause to the boss. And that's never going away, unfortunately. So you're going to need those Dark Zone tokens to get cards like this. These are the only cards that's basically like this, honestly. You see, you have the Ultimate Gauge Recovery, Max Damage Rate. Fortunately, though, those cards are like very trash besides this Zola card. So I would highly recommend, if you are a new player, maybe try to go for the Zola card. Try to find an alliance that can get you into it, help you out. Also, another thing that's speaking about alliances, when you're looking for an alliance, you have to understand what you are looking for as a player. You have to understand what's going to benefit you. If you're a casual player, you can't really ask for a hardcore alliance, right? Because nobody really wants a freeloader. As you guys can see right now, I am in an alliance where we're just basically sit back and chill. We talk a lot. We kind of just, we're just hanging around. There's not really hardcore things going on. But as you can see, when you come up to the upper top, there are a lot other alliances that are kind of just like in a dogfight, and all of them are trying to compete. What I'm saying is you can't be in a position that I am when I'm just trying to be really sit back, chilled, lazy, barely do my dailies. It didn't expect to get up in here because you don't want to frustrate your alliance mates. You also don't want to frustrate yourself. Now, another thing that I do want to pick out to you guys is I'm going to open up my map. And this right here is probably the biggest thing that a lot of new players need to hear. As you guys can see, you see these green exclamation marks everywhere, right? So when you're going through the story mode, I 100% am going to encourage you not to do any side missions until at least you get to Xandarth. Xandarth, do a couple side missions. Don't do all of them because that's like 45. You don't want to waste too much time. But maybe skip all of Hydra, New Stark City side quests. Come back to those later. Do maybe like half of the Xandarth. But then once you come to Midgard, Sakaar, and Dark Domain, you're going to want to do every single side mission that is there. And this is the best efficient way you can get through the story mode and also get the XP you need. Now, let's move on to the badges. Because there has been some changes here. As you guys can see, I have a badge here that kind of looks like it's glossing. These badges here are only doable in a PvE game mode called Epic Invasions. Again, PvE. You guys see where I'm going with this. This is why I'm saying make sure you keep building for your PvE, man. PvE is going to translate into PvP. But there are two separate kind of badges. You have the special badges, which are the ones that are glowing. And then you also have the regular badges, which are, they're just there. They're not really glowing. This is also another special badges. A lot of these special badges are due to rankings and PvE content and also just doing all other kinds of PvE content. And something I do also want to get you guys to understand is a lot of these uniforms are RNG. I see people who wants to have the best customization that they can, but the reality is a lot of these are RNG. You're not going to be able to get what you're expecting just by going out your way to kind of chase it. It's not that way. A lot of it is RNG. So please, as a new player, do not get frustrated if you can't get the color swap you want. I've definitely heard those. I've actually heard people who already quit because they've been playing Spider-Man and they wanted the in-game Spider-Man uniform. And they can't get the in-game Spider-Man uniform and they just feel like, they can't customize the character that they want to customize. And so they just end up quitting. And a lot of this game, you have to be patient because a lot of it is, unfortunately, RNG. You're going to see players out here who are free-to-play, low-to-player spendings that can, compete in, PvP. Right? And you're going to see people out here who spend maybe just $1,000 who can't compete in PvP. And you're asking yourself, how is that possible? Well, because it's more possible for that said new player to come in here and just get extremely lucky with the rolls, with the cards they get. And then you have the person who spends 1K and then their rolls are just very, very bad. For an example, let's look at this. Now, I haven't spent it 1K. Thank God. I'm not even close to that. But this right here is an example of a very good piece, but the rolls are terrible. The double guard damage, that is not something that I want per se. And I know if another person wrote that, they probably wouldn't want that as well. And there can be one free-to-play player out there who genuinely just gets their very first Eyes of Osiris suit and it's all the right rolls that they want. And they're giddy with it. So a lot of this game is RNG, and you guys definitely have to understand that. And I just wanted to make this guide for you guys to maybe try to help you guide yourself to, a better pasture and maybe do some resources management, figure out like what character you want to play, things of that nature, and also what to look out for. So if this guy was able to help you out, please let me know, man. I would keep more of this up, and I will be dropping this video out soon. I just got to do some editing for it, and then we're going to be throwing it out there. But thank you for watching, everybody. We out of here, signing out. Peace.